Hello, it's Tom again. And today's video is, it's a DV video. Um, and it's about sources of information. So, who am I to be a source of information on this? Uh, as far as you're concerned, if you're watching this, I'm, as of right now, just some guy on the internet. And we all know how reliable a guy on the internet is. My background that I've already disclosed in the past included time towards the end of my enlistment where I was a federal law enforcement officer. I was in the Coast Guard. Uh, Not a branch of law enforcement that specializes in domestic violence, so there's that. Also, I am not a social worker. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a member of the legislature. So basically, I'm somebody who was a federal cop like 15 years ago and didn't really have a whole lot of experience there. There was some incidences, but I did not have a direct law enforcement role in them. Uh, it's just kind of a weird thing. There's a difference between being a crew member on the boat and doing the law enforcement side. All right, so why are we talking about domestic violence? Okay, so to other people on the internet that I communicate with on a regular basis, we are not like IRL friends, we're just acquainted through social media. Each have had their own DV incidents. Um, what is DV? Well, it's a pretty broad thing. It's violence against the people you live with. They can be family members or roommates or the family members of roommates or a romantic partner, even if you're not cohabitating. If you are not physically striking or physically being struck, it can still be domestic violence. Threats of violence count. Also included threats of abandonment and threats of homelessness. Because while it is not a directly violent act, it is a deliberately indirectly violent act. You are deliberately putting somebody out of their home, putting them in danger. That counts. Also, threats of so abandonment. I think I said abandonment and threats of homelessness. Threats of abandonment also count. Sorry, I got a little tongue tied. So, person number one on the internet that I communicated with, and I still do to this day, we are friendly, we get along, we have similar interests. They had an issue where their roommate punched them. Like, we're at like fist fight level punching. And this is not a first time. And I say fist fight level, not that they were duking it out each other. I meant the roommate hauled off and punched them. And also, personal advice, don't buy a house with somebody you are not romantically involved with. Um, just don't. Uh, so they're both basically anchored to this house, and they clearly have problems. And this is not a one off thing. One time is enough for it to be DV, but this is on more than one occasion. And they had said this and they shared it, and I provided them links uh, relevant to resources for domestic violence in the state they reside in. They were horrified and very upset. That's not what this is. You don't know what you're talking about. Mind your own business. Who are you? So on and so forth. And all right, I personally thought this was an easy one to recognize, but sometimes people uh, don't see what's right in front of them. and did not want to they didn't want to think of themselves as the victim of domestic violence, I guess, and at the same time acknowledge that they would have to give up not just their relationship with that person, but their investment into that home to fix the problem. And there's a cascade effect when you have to deal with these. So there's a lot stacked against the person accepting when they should be going for help. Person number two, they live in a dysfunctional family. They are effectively an adult, but they're still the kid of the family. They are the youngest generation. They're only freshly into adulthood. They are LGBTQ, so in a family that does not like that. And they got coronavirus. Okay. The family doesn't take coronavirus seriously. It's a big nothing and a hoax and all of this stuff, whatever. So they're not taking precautions. They're just up in this person's business, and there's bullying going on. At the same time, grandma also lives there and is going through cancer treatments. That's two serious comorbidities for coronavirus. Cancer treatment, severely suppressed and compromised immune system due to chemo and whatnot, plus elderly. Hell, the only thing that could make it worse would be alcohol at that point. That also is a big comorbidity with it, by the way. And so what do? They use it as an excuse to beat up more on, you know, the this person. And one person raised their hands, threatened to hit them. They tried to. They told them, "You can't live here anymore. You have to get out of our house. How could you do this? Get out, get out." And they refused to leave. You can't legally, you know, kick somebody out like that. And funnily enough, they don't want to be homeless and sick with coronavirus at the same time. Weird and selfish of them, I know, right? And so they can't kick this person out. So, oh, they accidentally locked them out of the house and then just didn't let them back in. Yeah, that'll fly in court. Okay, so this person's talking to the doctor because they're sick, and screening for abuse is now commonplace in the medical setting, thank God. And so the doctor's like, "Yeah, that's DV." And this person's like, "Really?" And it's like, "Yeah, all of that counts. Threats of violence counts. Trying to make you homeless counts. Accidentally locking you out and then not letting you back in, that counts." And they accepted this, and they now have a social worker. And I mean, they're still in a bad place and it's still hard, but they had a source of information, a trusted source of information, explained to them that yes, this is domestic violence. And I think that's important to understand, whether you're trying to convince somebody to get help or whether somebody else is trying to convince you to get help. I'm a guy on the internet. Doesn't matter what my history is as far as you're concerned. I'm a guy on the internet. But if I'm telling you that the people that are hurting you are being abusive, that I do not have a qualification you can see, is not proof that I'm wrong. It's not proof that your friend is wrong. It's not proof that they're right either. But it means you might benefit from talking to somebody who is an authority on the subject. And it does mean facing some difficult decisions. Thanks for taking the time to watch this.